I questioned my life choices. Fairly used admission for sale. Honestly, there were days where I felt like I was enjoying this school thing. Now, let's talk about final year. Let's not talk about how I slayed my FYB week. I carried it on my head. Oh, this one passed my power. I'm just trying to navigate postgraduate life. Guys, you're welcome back to the channel. I miss you guys more than you miss me, trust me. And today's video is going to be a little different, as I'll be sharing some of my undergraduate experience and how I feel about it basically. So yeah, let's talk about it. It has been a mixture of bittersweet. I'm not going to come here and tell you guys every step of the way has been smooth. It has been all been juicy. I've not had breakdowns. I've not had, I've not broken down in different times. I would describe my 4 years. I wouldn't even say 4 years because guys, I spent 5 years. ASU strike, all of those yada yada, 5 years. So my degree is not even a 4-year degree. Take it to the bank. So I would say the whole experience is a combination of bittersweet. You know when you are eating puff puff and it's hot and peppery at the same time, but you are enjoying it. That was how it felt like. The early days were rough times. I'm not saying I had it all good, during my later days or during my concluding days in the university, but you know how people say, okay, your best days will be, or maybe their best days, they had it smooth and juicy in their early days. That was not me. That was not me. If I were to pick out a year that I least enjoyed, I would say it would be my 100 level. Why? I will explain. During my 100 level days, I never really had a feeling of settlement. And yes, I know it is absolutely normal to feel unsettled because you have a new environment, you are meeting with new people, lecturers, the setting is unfamiliar, and you are dealing with everything that looks like new or everything new. But for me, it was a bit different because I was overwhelmed by the feeling of unsettlement. It was more of something personal and something in-depth than just that unfamiliar space and getting to involve myself in unfamiliar activities, until I began to understand that this is what this phase of my life needs at this moment. This is how I can adapt to the environment, until I began to deal with it mentally, because I also think it's a mental thing. So mentally, I was not okay with the environment. I had a problem with every single thing, and I found myself complaining more during my 100 level to 200 level days. Things shifted, trust me. It wouldn't seem like there was much of a difference, but things actually shifted during my 300 level and 400 level days. Now, this is why. Things shifted because of my mindset. My mindset, I used to complain and I used to murmur about every single thing. There was no light, I would complain. There was no water, I would complain. And which is absolutely normal. I would not totally blame myself then because it was not something I was used to. I was used to electricity. At least a decent amount of electricity was made available before then. And I was used to water supply, all of those things. It was really, even though I tried making the place comfortable for me, it still wasn't. So in my head, I just didn't like that situation. So I complained about it a lot. And honestly, until I changed my mindset, until I began to see that environment in a different light, until I began to see the people in that environment, until I began to put things in order and basically just refine my mind, I never got comfortable. And that is why I say that my 100 level days and partially 200 level days were, I wouldn't call them nightmares, but more like nightmares. Speaking of nightmares, the real nightmares started with my first accommodation I got. Let me give you guys a quick story time. When I got admission, you settling in and all of those things, it was quite smooth and seamless. But guys, I was traumatized by certain events, certain things that happened in the place that I lived. I feel like where you live or the kind of accommodation you get matters a lot. Was so unsettled, not just by the circumstances around me, like natural occurrences and all of those things. I was so unsettled, even in my spirit. And that was because the hostel I got into at first was, oh Jesus. I don't even want to begin to talk about it, but I will talk about it. It was so unsettling. I would not be able to sleep at night. I would have nightmares. You would hear creepy sounds. At the time, my school was not so developed, so you'd see bushes around. So when I opened my window, the back of my window, there were bushes. But still, I was cool with it because I never opened that window, except maybe I just needed a little bit of sunlight. But I just couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. I would not be able to sleep well. You would hear sounds in the ceiling, like there was an animal, like maybe a snake or something. It would feel like, it would seem like the ceiling was going to fall on you. And it was, then I had a roommate, but it was directly opposite my bed. I just didn't like the experience. Weird things were happening to people in that hostel, accidents, all manner, all sorts. I just did not like it. So that alone traumatized me. I basically, oh Jesus, I thank God for where we are now, honestly, but that really traumatized me. I did not have peace. Really, I was troubled, and no matter how much I had then, I still was not comfortable. But I spent just 2 years there, and when I was in almost going to 300 level, I think my second semester, I moved. That was after that hostel was boggled. Yes, it's quite of a normal, even though it's an abnormality. It's quite of a normal that when students are not around, their hostels are being boggled. It's an abnormality, but I call it a normal because it has now been normalized, which should not be. Yeah, so my hostel was boggled. They took some of my things, and all of those things. I was shattered, guys, because I began thinking to myself, if you'd have to resume school next semester, you'd be starting all over again, just like a fresher, because I literally had to start getting things all over again. It was like I was just coming to school for the first time. A lot of money went into that, but eventually I got a good accommodation, and I'm so happy because I feel like accommodation is a big issue. Nobody ever talks about it, but it is a big issue. Not even in school. I feel like even in your adult life, where you are staying or where you reside matters. So yeah, I got a better accommodation. I settled in. I had a roommate also during this period, but I enjoyed this particular place. The moment I stepped into this building, guys, I just knew that this was the place God had ordained for me for that moment, for that season. There were days where I felt like I was enjoying this school thing, but there were other days I questioned my life choices, and my admission was one. In fact, it got to a time I'm like, fairly used admission for sale. But if I were to look back now, I would say that I enjoyed every bit of it, every experience. The not so good experiences and the good experiences. I built a community, and that is something I am so grateful for. If I looked at all other odds that I experienced earlier in my uni days, I wouldn't have built a community. I began looking past all of the things that I didn't have, all of the things that were not working, and channeled it. I loved my Christian family. In fact, I still love them. So that is a major highlight for me in my uni days. Now let's talk about final year. Nobody, I repeat, actually prepares you for the final year stress and billings. Guys, I'm not exaggerating, but I can tell you for free, the amount I spent for final year would have probably built something, or maybe not built something, but would have gotten me something tangible. I had a lot going on with me. I was busy with work, school, and fellowship activities, but still, guys, I enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoyed the rush hours, the slow mornings, the project wahala, The running around, I enjoyed every bit of it. I would say that my most stressed level was my 400 level. First time in my life, many people told me that I got lean. Why? Final year stress and final year billing. But yeah, I look back and I'm absolutely grateful for the journey. I enjoyed every bit of it. Let's not talk about how I slayed my FYB week, how I slayed my corporate day, my back to school. Oh my goodness. Let's not even talk about Jessie Day. Or should we talk about denim on denim? It was so nice. Things popped up here and there, you know. Many things wanted to make the girl look unfresh, but I still slayed in and slayed out, honestly. Let's not talk about our O&B and FYB, Thanksgiving, dinner, yada stuff, and all of those things. In as much as I was trying to put in my best effort to get the best results that I could in this final level, I still wanted to look good. I still wanted to enjoy every bit of it. I still wanted to do social activities. So I was very intentional about the FYB thing. You know, I carried it on my head, just like I carried my studies. But yeah, I enjoyed every bit of it. It was flawless, and special shout out to my family members for putting all of this together, because it was not easy. A lot of money and effort, time, resources went into this. But yeah, I'm glad. I look back and I'm able to see memories. I look back and I'm glad I made that vlog. I took that picture. But yeah, this is not to put pressure on anybody, because trust me, with how good or how well you prepare, you still find other people that when you see them, you'd be like, oh, this one passed my power. But I'd advise that you do the one that contains your power. I'm just trying to navigate postgraduate life. No pressure. You know what? I actually saw a post that one of my sister put up on her status, and she said pressure can be toxic. Pressure can also be a beautiful thing. And I saw that and I screenshotted it immediately, and it is absolutely true. So let me know your own experience, if you just graduated like me, or if you're still in school, or if you finished school even way before all of this. And lastly, I'd like to thank you all for your support. I see the comments, I see the likes, I see most times, because my OGs are on my contact list basically. When I post, they are always eating it up. You know, when I share links, you guys reshare, you guys like, you guys comment, you guys watch my videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. And on that note, I would see you guys in my next video. In the meantime, I love you, but God loves you absolutely more. I'll catch you guys. Bye.